Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 51. Make food real again. So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, we're going to be looking into some of the actual causes of obesity.
All we have to do is decrease his food intake and increase his metabolic output. Muscle weighs more than fat!
That like RFK has been talking about recently. I'm also going to be analyzing the ingredients in a lot of our food. I also want to talk about some of the early Trump appointments that he's made to his cabinet, and why I'm personally in no rush to judge anyone immediately, nor am I putting all my eggs into the political basket, as I keep saying. I'm also going to dive into this idea where I see a lot of people who are rushing into certainties when it comes to truth seeking. But like, without evidence, without asking more questions, and these people are actually sometimes creating their own misery by surrounding themselves purely with dark thoughts, purely with black pills, as opposed to staying open-minded and asking questions, which is something like I'm all for. But who actually decides what the truth is, and why do some people feel like it's their job to say to you that you can't be for real and you can't be a truth seeker or a truther if you don't believe exactly as I do?
Do exactly as I do.
Then on the lighter side, I'm also going to be giving my early thoughts on the NBA season so far, and teams and players to watch out for, as well as who you may actually be sleeping on. So, we've got all that and more. Let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time. Let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know, that must mean you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links purchased are on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JaredRyanWeiss.com. Buy the book, support me, any support is very much appreciated. So to start things off in the whole political realm, I see all over social media, particularly on Twitter, when it comes to Trump's picks so far for his cabinet, some have been very questionable, others have been really good, but I see like all these people online who are rushing to judgment, who are saying, this person's all bad and this person's all good.
Hate the Drake.
I love the Drake.
How could you not like the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
The Drake is good.
But my whole thing is like, let's wait and see what happens. But also, as I keep saying, don't put all your faith into a politician, because politics are going to do what politics are going to do. I personally still do believe and still do have faith that a lot of good things can and will happen, even if everything isn't perfect. I mean, so far here's what we have. At the time of filming this video, we have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy on DOGE, aka the Department of Government Efficiency, which I think both happen to be really great picks, and I think both of them are going to cut down a lot of the government spending. I think a lot of them are going to get rid of all these unnecessary government positions, so I think and I hope that that's going to be really good. Then we have Tulsi Gabbard as Department of National Intelligence, another great pick, I think. We have Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, another seemingly solid pick. Then we have Homan as Border Czar, who I don't really know a lot about, but like he seems to be a good pick. We have Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. I've heard some good things and some bad things as well. We have Radcliffe as CIA Director. I've heard some not good things. We have Marco Rubio, who, as far as I'm concerned, is one of these neocons. And who knows? As I keep saying, I don't think politics are ever going to be perfect. But there's also a difference between having faith and hope that like things are going to work out, as opposed to putting all your eggs in that basket.
It's something. It's hope.
And putting all your faith into a politician, because doing that is going to be outsourcing all of your own power. But also something else to consider, like I heard Candace Owens speak about the other day, is like, maybe this is actually Trump's way of giving back to and pleasing all of his donors, who gave him like $100 million for his campaign, but also implementing safeguards in there. So could that be the reason why some of these appointments might not be as good as some of the others? Possibly. As with everything else these days, I see some people immediately rushing to defend all the picks, but like on the other side of things, I also see a lot of people jumping to conclusions and being like, they're all controlled, they all suck, and anyone who voted for this is a shill and is working for foreign interests or something like that. What I say though is, let's wait and see, but like, regardless of what happens on the political level, let's at the very least make ourselves great, put pressure on the politicians, hold ourselves and them accountable, but as long as all of us are committed to personal excellence as the ultimate rebellion, what they're doing isn't going to affect us as much, and like, it will hopefully only be able to make us better and create a healthier environment and a more fertile soil for us to ultimately succeed. Next up, I want to share some very interesting and very powerful videos coming from RFK, talking about the whole obesity crisis, as well as like potential causes of this that have obviously been like overlooked over the years.
When my uncle was president, 3% of Americans were obese. Today, 50% of our children are obese. And this isn't true in other countries. In other countries, it's the same as it was then. In Japan, 3% of the people are obese. It's impacting our country because we're mass poisoning ourselves, and we're poisoning our children. There's 1,000 ingredients in our food that are illegal in Europe. And the problem is not those ingredients. The problem is the corruption in Washington, D.C., the capture of our agencies. The only president who's going to clean that up is Donald J. Trump.
So, this is why it's not always just as simple as just saying to someone stop eating, because a lot of these ingredients that are in our food supply are toxic and are like addictive, which is why I'm able to like sympathize and hear people out who have weight issues and are genuinely trying their best to make positive changes in their lives, but like can't seem to be able to. I think a lot of that is actually because it's not as simple as this food is good or this food is bad. A lot of it is actually toxic ingredients in foods, in medicines, in the air. So of course, all these things are going to make it more challenging, and it's not always easy for everyone, especially because like a lot of people have ingrained poor habits over the years, but also it's up to us to take ownership over our lives and to realize that anything can be done as long as we give it enough time and like enough effort. But I'd also appreciate it if we could get rid of like all these artificial ingredients and make the food real again. I mean, I also heard like RFK talking about recently comparing the ingredients in Fruit Loops here to like the ingredients in Canada, I'm pretty sure it was. And in Canada, Fruit Loops only had like 5 ingredients, but here it has 19 or maybe even like 30 ingredients, which is ridiculous, especially because most of these ingredients we can't even pronounce their names. So do we really think that these ingredients belong in our bodies or belong in young kids' bodies? And once again, this isn't me taking away accountability for all of our own actions, but once again, this is just me saying that if the government actually did its job in helping to keep us safe, in helping to keep the food safe, and stop poisoning ourselves, it would definitely make it easier for people to not get so addicted to all these harmful chemicals.
6 months ago, you're eating 4 of those for breakfast and chasing it with a ring ding, and 2 Butterfingers on the train. Sound familiar?
Now, I still believe some people are always going to choose the poor habits, and some people are always going to choose to not eat right. But can we at least make the environment better so that like these people who genuinely are trying to lose weight and get healthy can actually do so and have it not be as difficult on them? And once again, going along these lines of RFK Jr., exposing all the toxicity and exposing all the corruption in the whole medical industry, did any of you catch this the other day where CBS was actually talking about all these cold and flu medications actually being totally ineffective? Suddenly out of nowhere, they're admitting this? Let's watch together. I have 2 clips from this.
Funny. Yes, but not funny. Haha. Funny weird.
That clip was in relation to, it says on the screen, when the FDA rebukes cold medication and rips it off store shelves and the CEO of Moderna steps down as sales chief the same week RFK is officially headed to the new administration. Interesting stuff. And this is the clip I'm going to show you from CBS.
All of this stuff has been on the shelves for decades.
Since 1976.
We've been taking it, imagining that it's been working, but what the FDA is saying today is actually it never did work?
It never did work, and what they want to do is they're proposing an order to go ahead and take it off the shelves. Anybody, you guys, patients, scientists, doctors can comment until May 7th, and then come May 7th, they'll make a decision on whether to actually make an order to remove it from the shelves. What they're saying is back in 1976, studies were done differently, and looking at the studies, if they use today's standards, it would not have passed. This is oral phenylephrine. It is ubiquitous, and there was over $200 million worth of these medicines last year. And so, but it's not all of them. If you look at some of them, they're Sudafed PE. It's the PE part, the phenylephrine, and not pseudoephedrine. It's phenylephrine, but it's only the oral phenylephrine, not the nasal one. The oral doesn't work because of the way our body metabolizes it. And so you want to be a label reader. It's not dangerous. FDA's mandate is safe and effective, so it's still safe, it's just not effective.
Just doesn't work.
They can use nasal steroid sprays, especially if it's allergic type reactions. They can use other nasal sprays, one called oxymetazoline, but you only want to use that for 3 days. On top of that, pseudoephedrine works great. It's over the counter, but you have to ask the pharmacist for it. And then there's steam myth baths, nasal sprays, those kind of things.
So they're finally admitting that all these medications, like they've been giving and recommending for all these years, aren't effective. So my question is, when all these people who are against holistic health and who are against natural remedies are often saying things like, well, at least the benefits outweigh the risks. If there's zero benefit, as they're actually finally admitting, and you're putting all these foreign ingredients, foreign chemicals into your bodies that aren't natural, what other issues might these things be causing? I'm gonna leave that topic there for now. We'll keep that open-ended, and I'm sure we're gonna get back to that at some point in future episodes. Now, next up, I want to get into a post I saw the other day from Joel Rafidi, who I actually referenced in the past episode, and in that past episode, I'm pretty sure I was actually disagreeing with one of the sentiments he was talking about, but in this case, I'm actually fully agreeing with him. So the post reads, so yesterday, November 8th, passed in Sydney as usual, with little disruption. There were theories circulating, fueled by some and backed by an apparent plethora of evidence that a 9/11 style attack will take place on that day. Supposedly, this attack was decoded through symbolism in the media, with some of the so-called symbolism involving Krispy Kreme ads and King Charles flipping sausages on a grill. A few weeks ago, I shared a post expressing my personal opinion that this was all a bit ridiculous. Regardless of how well-meaning the intent, the conviction and certainty around this attack definitely happening were mind-boggling to me. It struck me as almost religious in the way it was being promoted, and no matter how much those pushing it claimed they weren't fear-mongering, the message was undeniably infused with fear. Some responses from those making these claims included statements like, it's about activating dormant DNA. They argued that they could interpret the symbolism because they understood spiritual concepts that I supposedly didn't, and that I had no place to comment. They accused anyone who questioned these claims of spiritual bypassing and focusing only on love and light, while certain people with larger accounts who didn't spread the word were berated. To me, this is where the study of conspiracy, combined with a lack of sincere and grounded psychological self-work, leads to a poor reputation for the truth community. Now that the day has passed and nothing has happened, I'll repeat some of the thoughts I shared back then. What are you focusing on? Where are you spending your energy? How are you fine-tuning your discernment? How are you staying connected to your body? When you have real purpose, there's naturally less room to be consumed by nonsense. While I may lack the spiritual activations needed to decode the symbolism of an attack that never occurred, I somehow managed to point out that whenever you sense desperation and defensiveness from a so-called messenger, it's wise to proceed with caution. Growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I'm also familiar with the nature of doom predictions and the psychology of those who buy into them. If there's one thing I've learned for certain, it's that the truth is centered, not chaotic. Truth is self-evident, not cryptic and accessible to only a select few. Truth is grounded and consistent, not frantic and scattered. So may we all embody a greater capacity for truth by nurturing those qualities in ourselves with the intention that nothing can shake the core of truth we cultivate within. Very powerful stuff. And going along these lines, I see a lot of people in the truth-seeking world who started off with genuine intentions to question everything, which is something I full-heartedly agree with, who've now turned those questions into absolute certainties, whether it comes to calling out this person as a control opposition, or calling everyone who disagrees with you control opposition, or calling everyone sheep, calling everyone brainwashed because they don't see things the exact way you do.
Exactly as I do.
And I've actually seen numerous examples of people who predicted world events, or who were predicting sporting events, by using numerology or using symbolism, but then these people actually end up getting it wrong, and then a few days later they actually justify it by saying, oh well, numerology works out on the other side too, so the whole event is still totally satanic. But I find this to be a problem. I got a lot of problems with you people! For us truthers and for us truth seekers. If one of us is going to go out on a limb and make this massive prediction and then it doesn't end up coming true, we need to own up to it, not trying to justify it. I mean, for instance, when it came to the World Series, this one account who I follow was so certain based on numerology and based on gematria that it was going to be the Yankees and Mets in the World Series. Then when that didn't happen, he became so certain that the Yankees were going to win the World Series. Then when that didn't happen, he justified the Dodgers winning the World Series by using gematria as well. So if every scenario is possible, then maybe is it possible that in that case, maybe things weren't actually scripted? I mean, once again, I'm all for questioning everything, but taking the joy out of things unnecessarily and turning everything into, this has to be satanic, this has to be scripted. If you get it wrong, then what was the actual purpose in all that? Don't blackpill things that don't have to be blackpilled. And to be honest, if we want to be taken seriously with anything in life, we have to be able to hold ourselves accountable and hold ourselves to the highest standards. As I continue on my own truther journey, something I've realized is that while there is most likely a conspiracy to be found in everything, so every area of our world, every area of our culture, there are conspiracies to be found. But this doesn't mean that everything is a conspiracy. This doesn't mean that every single thing is scripted, every event is scripted, and as far as I see it, if you're always looking for the bad side of things, as opposed to seeing things as they are, you're going to be bringing about more negativity into our world.
I hate all of you.
Which I know is not a lot of our intentions. I know that so many of us started off in this whole truther world and in this whole questioning game with awesome, great intentions to help people to seek truth and to understand how powerful we are and the power of God and our own divinity. But if you're always focused on calling people out and negativity and bringing more negative vibes, you're never going to be able to create this whole unified, healthy, happy world. And speaking on this topic further, I want to reference a tweet made by Ian Carroll, who I don't always think is perfect, but something I really like about him in the whole truth-seeking community is that he always does his homework, he holds himself accountable, and he also makes sure to admit whenever he gets things wrong. So, when he said to someone who called him control opposition, or he tried to say how brainwashed he was for supporting Trump, he responded by saying, "The fact you think anyone knows if they got fooled or not after 2 days is my exact point, bro. And the way you think facts could only ever have one interpretation that seems to be either proving my point or evidence of simple-mindedness. Truth is complex. The politics of the largest empire the world has ever known is complex. So you can redeem yourself platitudes as though you were the arbiter of truth. I'll just keep learning and thinking for myself." Damn! Very powerful and very wise too. I mean, it's definitely a problem when you have all these people claiming to be the truth, have the truth, and anyone who disagrees with them is automatically a shill or is control opposition. We need to be focused on being more open-minded and actually seeking the truth. Because none of us has all the truth. None of us has all the answers.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And if someone out there does claim to be the truth, or have all the truth, or have all the answers, isn't that like the same thing when it came to Anthony Fauci? When it came to trusting the science because he was the science? So as far as I see it, it's just as wrong for one of us to see ourselves as above everyone else, and we are the ultimate arbiter of truth. And I love how Ian Carroll closed off that response by saying, "I'll just keep learning and thinking for myself." So just as we don't want to outsource any of our power to the quote-unquote people in power, we also don't want to outsource this idea of truth to any one person in the whole truth-seeking community just because this person is speaking louder than everyone else or is claiming to have all the answers. And that's where I also think it's so important to turn inward and trust ourselves, get back to realizing how much power each of us has in this whole complex world, and how every one of us can play a role in being part of the solution. Now next up, we're going to be diving more into the lighter side of things. We're going to be diving into the sports world, which, as you know, I love to cover that area as well. So we're going to be getting into both NFL and NBA talk. First up, I'm going to show you guys a video referencing Saquon Barkley and how and why he's been able to have this incredible season this year so far. So this video is coming from one of my all-time favorite motivational speakers, Eric Thomas.
"You will not defeat me. You will not destroy me. Some of you are so ignorant. You've been through so much hell. You gonna quit now? You don't quit now. It's the 10th round. You got 2 more to go. And when you get to success, it's not about skill. When you get to a certain level of success, it's about stamina. It's about stamina."
So a super powerful lesson I think we can all learn from watching Saquon Barkley thrive on the Eagles this year is that he's showing us that the right opportunity and the right situation is sometimes all it takes for us to shine. Of course, sometimes we're the issue and we're the ones who need to change, but other times it's simply just a matter of changing our environment, and this is the whole reason why it's so important to never stop working on yourself and to never stop grinding, so that this way, when the opportunity does come, we're going to be ready for it and we're going to be able to succeed and thrive as soon as the opportunity comes our way. So this guy was on the Giants all those years, and he had no offensive line and no blocking, and he was part of this dysfunctional team.
Stupid tire! You're freaking tire! You should get out of me! Kick your ass!
Sorry to all the Giants fans out there. He, of course, had it much tougher and didn't look like the superstar who he was supposed to be upon getting drafted. But now you see him in a different situation on a much better team, and look at him now. He's balling out, he's hurling over defenders backwards, scoring touchdowns, getting tons of yards. So shout out to Saquon. Stay ready so that this way you never have to get ready. And finally in this video, some early season NBA talk. So of course, the team to beat so far this year seems to be the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I actually find super surprising. But what I will say is that they're an interesting team, especially because they truthfully only have one superstar player in Donovan Mitchell, but the rest of the team isn't selfish at all. They have a ton of great ball movement, and something that the Cavaliers have, which is very rare in today's NBA, is the whole team defends incredibly well. I mean, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, all great defenders, all great on-ball defenders. And when you have the help side Z from Mobley and Allen, makes you a pretty tough team to beat. Now, so far at the time of filming this video, the Cavaliers are still undefeated. I kind of don't expect to stay that way by the time this video comes out, but like, we're going to wait and see. I personally don't consider the Cavs to be a championship team right now, but I do think they're going to make a lot of noise in the regular season. We'll see what happens when it comes playoff time. I think when it comes playoff time, you're going to have the Celtics of the world, you're going to have possibly the Lakers, Knicks also maybe, if they find out how to win late in games. I think most of those teams are going to start like emerging towards the end of the season. But the Cavaliers are definitely a super surprising team right now. Now next up in the NBA, we have Victor Wembanyama, who is a true unicorn when it comes to being an NBA player. I mean, he's actually what everyone thought Kristaps Porzingis was going to be, and that's actually no shade towards Kristaps, because I actually think Kristaps Porzingis, when healthy, is actually a really great player too. But like, Wembanyama's skill set is on another level. His confidence in himself is on another level. He's actually in the right situation in a rebuilding team. And alongside Chris Paul, I can actually see the Spurs sneaking into the playoffs and being an interesting team this year. But like, Wembanyama, that guy is scary good. I mean, 7'4" with his skill set. How do you stop that? Hitting 6+ threes a game the past few games. I mean, it's almost as if like you took Kevin Durant and made him taller. It's crazy. And next up, one of my sleeper teams and one of the most overlooked players in my opinion. So like, I don't think this team is going to go far in the playoffs this year, but over the next few years, I want everyone to watch out for the Orlando Magic. I think Franz Wagner might be the most underrated potential superstar in the league right now. I don't see anyone talking about him. This dude is averaging over 20 a game. He's having massive stat lines. His brother Mo Wagner is on that team too, and he's playing great coming off the bench. And Paolo Banchero, when he comes back from his injury, I mean, this dude put up a 50-piece recently. And I don't see anyone talking about the Magic. But like, I think the Magic could be scary good in a few years. When it comes to the international players, everyone's always talking about Jokic, of course, Doncic, of course. But like, I don't hear anyone talking about the Wagner brothers. Give that team another 2 years, they're going to be scary. And they're going to be tough to beat. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed all the messages. I hope you guys enjoyed all the topics. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and let me know your thoughts in the video. I will catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding, stay truth-seeking, stay critical thinking. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.